The garage door rattled shut behind me as I wiped grease from my hands. Another 12-hour day fixing other people's broken air conditioners finally over. July in Ohio meant my HVAC business was booming, but it also meant I barely saw my wife Dana, except when she was rushing out the door to her latest girls' night or office party. Funny how many of those she'd been having lately. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. I grabbed a beer from the mini fridge and noticed Dana's phone buzzing on my workbench. She must have forgotten it when she came out to tell me dinner was ready an hour ago. The screen lit up with a text notification. Can't wait to see you tomorrow night. Grant. Grant. I knew that name. Dana's coworker from the insurance office where she worked as a coordinator. The same Grant she'd been mentioning more and more lately. Grant thinks this, and Grant says that. I'd chalked it up to office friendship, maybe even a harmless crush. Everyone needs something to make their day job bearable. But the message felt different. Intimate. I stared at the phone, my beer growing warm in my other hand. My thumb hovered over the screen. 42 years old, married for 18 years, and I was about to cross a line I'd never crossed before. But something in my gut told me I needed to see what else Grant had been saying to my wife. The phone unlocked with Dana's predictable passcode, our anniversary date. Real original, honey. I scrolled up through their message thread, and my world tilted sideways. Last night was incredible. I can't stop thinking about you. When is Caleb working late again? I need you. Leave him. We could be so happy together. And Dana's responses were even worse. Detailed descriptions of what she wanted to do to him. Complaints about our marriage, our private life, me. She'd reduced 18 years to a punchline for her boyfriend's amusement. The garage felt smaller suddenly, the walls pressing in. I set the phone down carefully, like it might explode. My hands were steady, which surprised me. Inside, I felt like I was falling down a well, but outside, I was calm as a frozen lake. I heard the shower running upstairs, Dana washing off her day at the office, or maybe washing off Grant. The thought hit me like a punch to the solar plexus. That's when I heard the doorbell ring. I walked through the kitchen toward the front door, still holding Dana's phone. Through the frosted glass, I could see a tall figure holding what looked like flowers. My heart started hammering, but my mind went crystal clear. I opened the door to find a man about my age, maybe a little younger, holding a bouquet of roses. He was exactly what I'd expected, the kind of guy who spent more on hair products than I spent on lunch. Pressed khakis, polo shirt, the works. He looked like he sold insurance, which made sense since that's exactly what he did. "Oh," he said, his smile faltering. "I was looking for Dana." "I bet you were," I said. "You must be Grant." His face went white. "I think there's been a misunderstanding." "No misunderstanding at all. Come on in. Dana's in the shower, but she'll be down in a minute." Grant hesitated, clearly wanting to run, but I stepped aside and gestured him in. What was he going to do? Admit he was here for an affair? He walked into my living room like a man walking to his execution. "Have a seat," I said, pointing to the couch. "Can I get you something to drink? Beer? Water? Hemlock?" He sat down stiffly, still clutching those roses like a shield. "Listen, Caleb, I think we should talk." "Oh, we're definitely going to talk. But first, let me show you something." I held up Dana's phone and started reading. "Can't wait to see you tomorrow night." I looked at him. "That was your message from about 10 minutes ago." Grant's mouth opened and closed like a fish. No sound came out. "Here's another good one," I continued, scrolling up. "When is Caleb working late again? I need you." I tilted my head. "That's also you, Grant. Very romantic. Caleb, please let me explain." "Explain what? How you've been screwing my wife? How you've been planning your little rendezvous in my house while I'm out working to pay for it?" My voice was still calm, conversational even. It seemed to scare him more than shouting would have. That's when I heard the shower shut off upstairs. "Dana, honey," I called up. "You have a visitor." "Who is it?" she called back. "Your boyfriend, Grant. He brought flowers." The silence from upstairs was deafening. Then I heard rapid footsteps, drawers slamming, the frantic sounds of someone getting dressed in a hurry. Grant stood up. "I should go." "Sit down," I said, and something in my voice made him drop back onto the couch. "We're just getting started." Dana appeared at the top of the stairs in her bathrobe, her wet hair dripping onto the hardwood. She saw Grant on the couch, saw me holding her phone, and her face crumbled. "Caleb, I can explain everything." "I'm sure you can. But first, Grant here was about to tell me how long this has been going on." Grant looked between Dana and me like a trapped animal. "Look, we never meant for this to happen." "But it did happen," I said. "Multiple times from what I'm reading here. In fact, according to this message thread, you two have been planning to meet here tonight while I was supposedly working late." Dana came down the stairs slowly, clutching her robe closed. "How long have you known?" "About 10 minutes, but I'm a quick study." I held up her phone. "You two have been very thorough in your documentation. It's like a diary of deception." "We fell in love," Dana said, her voice barely a whisper. "Love." I tasted the word. "Is that what you call it when you mock your husband's performance in bed to your boyfriend? When you complain about how boring your marriage is while you're planning to betray it?" Grant finally found his voice. "Dana, maybe we should talk about this later." "Oh no," I said. "Don't let me break up this romantic reunion. Please, continue. Pretend I'm not here. You two have had plenty of practice at that." I pulled out my own phone and started taking pictures. Grant with his flowers, Dana in her bathrobe, both of them looking guilty as hell. "What are you doing?" Dana asked. "Documenting the moment. For the divorce attorney. And maybe for your HR department, Dana. I'm sure they have policies about employees who conduct affairs and then use company time to coordinate their meetings." "You wouldn't," she breathed. "Watch me." I was already typing an email, attaching the photos and screenshots of their messages. "Let's see. Who's your supervisor again? Oh, right, Margaret Chen. I'm sure she'll find this fascinating reading." "Caleb, please don't do this," Grant said, standing up again. "We can work this out like adults." "Adults?" I laughed, and it wasn't a pleasant sound. "Adults don't sneak around behind their spouse's back. Adults don't bring flowers to another man's house for his wife. Adults don't document their affair in text messages like teenagers." I hit send on the email. "There," I said. "Now it's documented with your employer, too. I'm sure they'll want to discuss this with both of you first thing Monday morning." Dana sank onto the bottom step of the staircase, her face in her hands. "You've ruined everything." "I've ruined everything?" My calm finally cracked. "I've been working 60-hour weeks to keep this house, to pay for your car, your clothes, your lifestyle, while you've been planning to throw it all away for this insurance salesman in khakis." Grant set the flowers on the coffee table and headed for the door. "I think I should leave." "That's the first smart thing you've said since you got here," I told him. "But Grant, this isn't over, not by a long shot." He paused at the door. "What's that supposed to mean?" I smiled, and I could tell it wasn't a nice smile. "It means you picked the wrong marriage to destroy. It means you have no idea who you're dealing with. And it means you're going to find out." Grant left without another word, and I heard his car speed away down our quiet suburban street. Dana was still sitting on the stairs, crying now. "How could you do this to us?" she asked through her tears. "How could I do this?" I stared at her. "Dana, I just found out my wife is having an affair. I didn't do anything except catch you. You humiliated me in front of him. You humiliated yourself. I just provided the lighting." I walked past her toward the kitchen, then stopped. "Pack a bag. You can stay at your sister's while we figure out what comes next. This is my house too." Not anymore, it isn't. You made your choice. Now live with it. As I headed upstairs to what used to be our bedroom, I could hear her making phone calls. Probably to Grant, probably to her sister, definitely not to anyone who could fix what she'd broken. But that was okay. I had my own calls to make. The next morning, I sat in my truck outside Dana's office building, watching her walk across the parking lot. She looked tired, probably hadn't slept much. Good. Neither had I, but I'd put my insomnia to better use. I'd spent the night learning everything I could about Grant Beck. Social media made it easy. LinkedIn told me he'd been with Hartwell Insurance for 3 years, had a decent sales record, drove a leased BMW. Facebook showed me his apartment complex, his favorite restaurants, his gym. Instagram revealed his vanity. Dozens of selfies at the mirror, at the beach, at bars with other women who apparently didn't know about his thing for married coworkers. More importantly, I'd found his wife. Turns out Grant was married too. Jennifer Beck, a nurse at Toledo General, married to Grant for 5 years. Her Facebook was full of happy couple photos, vacation pictures, posts about their future plans. She had no idea her husband was texting my wife about hotel rooms and weekend getaways. I felt bad for Jennifer. She was about to have the same morning I'd had yesterday, except I was going to make sure she had all the facts up front. I pulled out my phone and started typing. Hi, Jennifer. You don't know me, but my name is Caleb Morris. I'm married to Dana Morris, who works with your husband Grant at Hartwell Insurance. I think we need to talk. I attached the screenshots of Grant and Dana's messages, the photos from last night, everything I had. Then I hit send. My phone rang almost immediately. Hello? Is this Caleb? The voice was shaky, upset. Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry to contact you like this, but I thought you deserved to know. These messages? Are they real? I'm afraid so. I found them on my wife's phone last night. Your husband showed up at my house with flowers for her. Jennifer was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke again, her voice was harder. That bastard. I knew something was wrong. He's been working late, going to conferences that don't exist, spending money we don't have. I'm sorry, Jennifer. I know how you feel. What are you going to do about it? I'm going to make sure everyone knows exactly what kind of people they are, starting with their employer. Good, she said fiercely. Burn it all down. After we hung up, I felt a little better. At least Jennifer and I were on the same team now. Dana and Grant thought they could destroy 2 marriages without consequences. They were about to learn otherwise. I drove to my shop, a converted garage bay where I ran my HVAC business. My assistant Tommy was already there, working on a unit that had come in yesterday. Morning, boss. You look like hell. Feel like it too. I told him about Dana and Grant while I got my tools ready for the day's service calls. Tommy whistled low. Damn, Caleb. What are you going to do? I'm going to destroy them. Legally, professionally, socially. By the time I'm done, they'll wish they'd never met each other. You sure that's smart? Might be better to just divorce her and move on. I looked at Tommy, a good kid who'd never been married, never had someone he trusted completely betray him. Tommy, when someone steals from you, you call the police. When someone vandalizes your property, you press charges. When someone destroys your life, you make sure they pay for it. If you say so, boss. Just don't do anything that'll land you in jail. I won't. But I'm not going to roll over either. My first service call was at the Hendersons' house, a nice couple in their 60s who'd been customers for years. While I worked on their central air unit, Mrs. Henderson made small talk. How's Dana doing? I haven't seen her at the grocery store lately. Dana's fine, I said, not ready to air my business to the whole neighborhood yet. Just busy with work. That's good. You two always seem so happy together. Seemed. Past tense. Even the neighbors could tell something was wrong. I finished the job and headed back to the shop to find a message waiting on my office phone. It was from Margaret Chen, Dana's supervisor. Mr. Morris, this is Margaret Chen from Hartwell Insurance. I received your email this morning and I need to schedule a meeting with you as soon as possible. Please call me back at your earliest convenience. I called back immediately. Mr. Morris, thank you for bringing this matter to our attention. I need to ask you some questions about the documentation you provided. Whatever you need. Can you come in this afternoon? Say, 2 o'clock? I'll be there. And Mr. Morris, please bring any additional evidence you might have. This is a serious matter, and we need to handle it properly. At 2 o'clock sharp, I walked into the Hartwell Insurance building carrying a folder full of printed screenshots, photos, and a timeline I'd created showing the progression of Dana and Grant's affair. Margaret Chen was a small, efficient woman who looked like she didn't tolerate nonsense. Mr. Morris, please have a seat. I want to start by saying how sorry I am that you're going through this. Thank you. I appreciate that. I've reviewed the materials you sent, and I have to say, this is one of the most documented cases of workplace misconduct I've ever seen. Your wife and Mr. Beck were incredibly careless. They thought they were smarter than everyone else. Clearly, they were wrong. Now I need to ask you some questions about dates and times to make sure we have our facts straight. We spent an hour going through everything. Margaret took notes, asked for clarification on specific messages, and had me sign a statement attesting to the authenticity of the evidence. What happens now? I asked. Both employees will be suspended pending a full investigation. If the investigation confirms what you've shown me, and I have no reason to doubt it will, they'll both be terminated for violation of company policy. Good. Mr. Morris, I have to ask, what's your goal here? Are you planning to sue the company? I shook my head. I don't want your money, Mrs. Chen. I want consequences. I want them to face the results of their choices. I understand. And I want you to know that Hartwell Insurance does not tolerate this kind of behavior from our employees. We'll handle this appropriately. As I left the building, I saw Grant's BMW in the parking lot. He was probably upstairs right now getting called into Margaret's office, finding out that his affair was about to cost him his job. The thought made me smile. My phone buzzed with a text from Dana. We need to talk. I texted back, No, we don't. Talk to your lawyer. She tried calling, but I didn't answer. I had more important things to do. That evening I drove to Grant's apartment complex. I wasn't planning to confront him. That would come later. I just wanted to see where he lived, get a feel for his world before I started tearing it down. The complex was one of those generic places that tried to look upscale, but just looked expensive. Grant's BMW was parked in front of Building C. I sat in my truck and watched his windows for a while, thinking about my next moves. My phone rang. Jennifer Beck. Caleb? I confronted Grant tonight. He admitted everything. How did he take it? He cried. Actually cried and begged me to forgive him. Said it was a mistake, that he loved me, that he'd end it with Dana immediately. What did you tell him? I told him to get out. I'm filing for divorce tomorrow. Good for you. He's at a hotel tonight, the Marriott on Reynolds Road. Thought you might want to know. Thanks, Jennifer. I owe you one. We're even. Just make sure he pays for what he did. After we hung up, I sat in my truck for a while longer, watching Grant's empty apartment. The Marriott on Reynolds Road was only 10 minutes away. Grant was probably there right now, feeling sorry for himself, maybe calling Dana to complain about how unfair life was. I started my truck and headed home. Tomorrow was going to be a big day, and I needed to be ready. But first, I had one more phone call to make. Tommy, it's Caleb. I need you to handle the service calls tomorrow. I've got some personal business to take care of. Everything okay, boss? Everything's perfect. For the first time in months, everything's exactly the way it should be. Word travels fast in a small town, especially when it involves closeness, betrayal, and public humiliation. By Thursday morning, 3 days after I'd exposed Dana and Grant to their employer, the story had spread through our social circle like wildfire. It started with Jennifer Beck. She'd apparently told her sister, who told her best friend, who told her husband, who mentioned it at the hardware store where half the town shops on weekends. From there, it jumped to Facebook, where Dana's cousin posted a vague status about family disappointments that got people asking questions. I was at Murphy's Diner, having breakfast and reading the paper, when Bill Henderson slid into the booth across from me. Bill and I had been friends since high school. Our wives had been close too until recently. "Heard about Dana," he said without preamble. "Sorry, man, that's rough. Word gets around fast. You know how it is. Sarah heard it from Jennifer Beck at the grocery store. Jennifer's pretty torn up about the whole thing. She's handling it better than I expected. Filing for divorce, taking him for everything he's worth." Bill nodded approvingly. "Good for her. What about you? What's your plan?" "I'm going to make sure everyone knows exactly what kind of people they are, starting with our so-called friends who've been covering for them." Bill frowned. "What do you mean?" I pulled out my phone and showed him a screenshot I'd found on Dana's phone. It was from a group chat called Girls' Night that included Dana, her sister Kelly, and 3 of our couple friends' wives, Sarah Henderson, Lisa Garrett, and Monica Torres. The message was from 2 weeks ago. "Cover for me tonight. If Caleb asks, we're all at Sarah's watching movies." Bill's face went red as he read it. Sarah was covering for her? They all were. Look at this one. I scrolled to another message. "Lisa, how was your date with Grant? Details." And this one from Monica. "You deserve to be happy. Caleb doesn't appreciate you anyway." Bill stood up abruptly. "I need to go have a conversation with my wife." "Sit down, Bill. I'm not done." He sat back down, but I could see the anger building in his face. "Here's what's going to happen," I said. "I'm going to forward these screenshots to you, Mike Garrett, and Carlos Torres. What you do with them is up to you, but your wives have been lying to you too." "Jesus, Caleb. This is going to destroy everything." "Everything was already destroyed. I'm just making sure everyone knows it." I sent the screenshots to all 3 husbands while Bill watched. Within minutes, my phone was buzzing with angry calls and texts. Mike Garrett called first. "What the hell is this, Caleb? It's your wife helping mine cheat on me. Read the timestamps. Every time Dana said she was having girls' night at your house, she was actually with Grant. Lisa wouldn't do that. The evidence says otherwise. But hey, maybe you trust your wife more than I trusted mine." Mike hung up. Carlos Torres called next. Then Bill's phone started ringing. I could hear Sarah Henderson's voice through the speaker, high and defensive. "It wasn't like that, Bill. We were just trying to be supportive." "Supportive of what? Adultery?" I left Bill to his conversation and drove to my shop. Tommy was there with a cup of coffee and a knowing look. "Heard you stirred up some shit at Murphy's this morning." "News travels fast. Mrs. Garrett came by looking for you about an hour ago. She was pissed." "I bet she was. What did she want?" "To tell you that you're destroying innocent people's marriages with your vendetta against Dana." Her words. I laughed. "Innocent people, that's rich." "She also said the guys are planning to have a talk with you, tonight at Flanagan's." Flanagan's was the local bar where our group of friends had been meeting for Thursday night drinks for the past 5 years. Dana and I had been part of that group, along with the Hendersons, Garretts, and Torres families. We'd celebrated birthdays there, toasted promotions, commiserated over job losses and family problems. "Good," I said. "I've been looking forward to that conversation." "You sure you want to go? Might get ugly." "It's already ugly, Tommy. I'm just making sure everyone can see it clearly." That evening, I walked into Flanagan's to find Bill Henderson, Mike Garrett, and Carlos Torres sitting at our usual table. Their wives weren't with them, which was unusual. Normally, Thursday nights were couples' night. I ordered a beer and joined them. The tension was thick enough to cut with a knife. "Caleb," Mike started, "we need to talk about what happened this morning." "What about it?" "You can't just blow up everyone's marriage because yours fell apart." I didn't blow up anything. I just shared some information. What you guys do with it is your business. Carlos leaned forward. Lisa is devastated. She says she was just trying to be a good friend to Dana. By lying to you? By helping her cheat on me? It's not that simple, Bill said. The wives, they stick together. It's not necessarily about the cheating. I stared at him. Bill, your wife helped my wife lie to me so she could sleep with another man. How is that not about cheating? Because it's about friendship, too. About supporting each other. Supporting adultery. Supporting a friend who was unhappy in her marriage. That's when I lost it. Unhappy? I stood up, my voice rising. She was unhappy. I worked 60 hours a week to pay for her car, her clothes, her lifestyle. I never missed an anniversary, a birthday, a holiday. I was faithful for 18 years while she was planning to throw it all away for some insurance salesman with a leased BMW. The bar had gone quiet. Other customers were staring. And you three, I continued, pointing at each of them. Your wives helped her do it. They lied to your faces so my wife could betray me. And now you're sitting here telling me I'm the problem? Mike stood up too. You're being vindictive, Caleb. You're hurting innocent people. Innocent people? I laughed bitterly. Let me tell you about innocent people. Jennifer Beck was innocent. She had no idea her husband was cheating until I told her. I was innocent until I found those text messages. But your wives? They knew exactly what they were doing. They were trying to help a friend, Carlos said. They were enabling adultery. There's a difference. What do you want from us? Bill asked. What's your end game here? I want you to understand that actions have consequences. Your wives chose to participate in the destruction of my marriage. Now they get to live with the results. Which are what exactly? Mike's voice was getting louder too. Which are that everyone knows what kind of people they really are. Which are that you three have to decide whether you can trust wives who lie to your faces. Which are that our little social group is over, because I'm not going to sit around pretending everything's fine while you all act like I'm the villain. You are the villain, Carlos said. You're destroying friendships that go back years. Those friendships were already destroyed. I just pulled back the curtain. I finished my beer and stood up. You guys want to blame me for this? Fine. But ask yourselves this. If your wives could lie to you about this, what else have they lied about? If they could help destroy my marriage, what does that say about their respect for marriage in general? Caleb, wait, Bill said as I headed for the door. I turned back. I'm done waiting, Bill. I waited while Dana cheated. I waited while your wives covered for her. I waited while everyone pretended nothing was wrong. I'm done waiting for other people to do the right thing. I left them sitting there and drove home to my empty house. My phone was buzzing with angry texts from Sarah, Lisa, and Monica, but I didn't read them. I had bigger plans for tomorrow, because tomorrow was Friday, and Friday was when Grant Beck would discover that losing his job was just the beginning of his problems. Friday morning, I was waiting in the parking lot of Grant's apartment complex when he came out to get his newspaper. He looked terrible, unshaven, wearing yesterday's clothes, moving like a man who'd been drinking too much and sleeping too little. He saw my truck and froze. For a moment, I thought he might run back inside, but then his shoulders straightened and he walked over to my window. What do you want, Caleb? To talk. Get in. I don't think that's a good idea. I don't care what you think. Get in the truck, or I'll have this conversation right here in your parking lot where all your neighbors can hear it. He looked around at the other apartment buildings, probably calculating how many people might be watching, then opened the passenger door and climbed in. You got me fired, he said. You got yourself fired. I just provided the documentation. Jennifer left me. Good for Jennifer. She deserves better. Grant turned to face me. What do you want? You've already destroyed my life. What more is there? I studied his face. He really didn't get it. He thought losing his job and his wife was the end of it. Grant, you haven't even begun to pay for what you did. You think this is about a job? About a marriage? This is about respect. This is about consequences. I never meant for it to go this far. But it did go this far. You made choices, and now you get to live with them. Dana and I, we fell in love. It just happened. I laughed. It just happened? You pursued a married woman. You planned meetings in her house while her husband was working. You documented your affair in text messages. None of that just happened. What do you want me to say? I'm sorry? Fine, I'm sorry. I don't want your apology, Grant. I want you to understand what you've done. I pulled out my phone and showed him a screenshot of one of his messages to Dana. Read this out loud. He glanced at the screen. I'm not going to... Read it. Something in my voice made him look at the message. I can't wait to have you in our bed while your boring husband is fixing air conditioners. Our bed, I repeated. My bed. In my house. That I pay for. While I was working to support the woman you were sleeping with. Grant stared at his hands. I know how it sounds. Do you? Because it sounds like you have no respect for marriage, for other people's relationships, for basic human decency. It wasn't like that. Then what was it like? Explain it to me. Grant was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was defensive. Dana was unhappy. She said you didn't appreciate her, that you took her for granted. She needed someone who understood her. So you decided to be that someone. She came to me. At the office Christmas party, she was crying about how lonely she felt. I just tried to comfort her. And that comfort led to you planning to meet at my house while I was at work. It developed over time. We didn't plan for it to happen. I turned to face him fully. Grant, I'm going to explain something to you. Every choice you made, from the moment you decided to comfort my crying wife to the moment you showed up at my door with flowers, was a choice to destroy my life. You might not have planned it all at once, but you made those choices every single day for months. I know that now. Do you? Because yesterday you were still planning to meet her. Yesterday you were still texting her about leaving me for you. So when exactly did you figure out that you were destroying my life? Grant didn't answer. Here's what's going to happen, I continued. You're going to stay away from my wife. You're going to stay away from me. You're going to find a new job in a different town, and you're going to disappear from my life completely. And if I don't? Then you'll find out just how creative I can be when it comes to making your life difficult. Is that a threat? It's a promise. You see, Grant, I'm not bound by company policies or professional ethics. I'm just a guy whose life you destroyed, and I have a lot of time on my hands now that I don't have to pretend to have a happy marriage. Grant opened the truck door. We're done here. We're done when I say we're done. But he was already getting out, walking quickly toward his apartment building. I watched him go, then drove to my next stop. Dana was staying at her sister Kelly's house across town. Kelly had always disliked me, thought Dana had married beneath her, so I wasn't surprised she was taking Dana's side in all this. What did surprise me was finding Dana's car in the driveway at 10 in the morning on a weekday. I knocked on the front door. Kelly answered, her face immediately hardening when she saw me. She doesn't want to see you. I don't care what she wants. We need to talk. You've done enough damage, Caleb. Just leave her alone. Leave her alone? She's still my wife, Kelly. We have things to discuss. Like what? How you humiliated her in front of her boyfriend? How you got her fired? How you're spreading lies about her all over town? Lies? I pulled out my phone. These aren't lies, Kelly. These are screenshots of your sister planning to cheat on me in my own house. Kelly glanced at the phone, then back at my face. She was unhappy, Caleb. She has a right to be happy. She had a right to ask for a divorce. She didn't have a right to cheat. Dana, Kelly called over her shoulder. He's here. Dana appeared in the hallway behind her sister, looking as bad as Grant had. Good. She should look bad. What do you want, Caleb? To talk. Alone. Anything you have to say to me you can say in front of Kelly. Fine. I want to know how long you've been planning to leave me. I wasn't planning to leave you. Grant and I, we just connected. It wasn't about leaving you. Really? Because according to your text messages, you two were making plans for your future together. That sounds like leaving me to me. Dana stepped past Kelly onto the front porch. Can we please not do this here? Where would you like to do it, at your office? Oh wait, you don't have an office anymore. At Grant's apartment? Oh wait, his wife kicked him out. You destroyed everything, Dana said, her voice breaking. You didn't have to destroy everything. I didn't destroy anything. You did. I just made sure everyone could see the damage. You could have talked to me first. We could have worked something out. Worked something out? Dana, you were planning to have closeness with your boyfriend in our bed while I was at work. What exactly were we supposed to work out? Kelly stepped between us. That's enough. You need to leave. I need to leave? This is my wife, Kelly. We have 18 years of marriage to sort through. 18 years that she was miserable, Kelly shot back. 18 years of you taking her for granted, treating her like a housekeeper instead of a wife. I stared at her. Is that what she told you? That I treated her like a housekeeper? She told me the truth about your marriage. The truth? I laughed. The truth is that I worked 60 hours a week to pay for the house she was planning to cheat in. The truth is that I never forgot an anniversary, a birthday, or a holiday. The truth is that I was faithful to her for 18 years while she was texting another man about how boring I was. Money isn't everything, Caleb. You're right. Honesty is everything. Loyalty is everything. Respect is everything. And your sister gave me none of those things. Dana was crying now. I never meant for it to happen like this. How did you mean for it to happen? Were you going to tell me eventually? Or were you just going to keep lying until you figured out how to leave me for Grant? I don't know. I wasn't thinking clearly. You were thinking clearly enough to coordinate your meetings with him. You were thinking clearly enough to mock our marriage in your text messages. You were thinking clearly enough to get our friends' wives to lie for you. That's not fair. Fair? My voice rose. You want to talk about fair? Is it fair that I had to find out about your affair from a text message? Is it fair that you turned our friends against me? Is it fair that you were planning to destroy our marriage without even giving me a chance to fix whatever was wrong? There was nothing to fix, Dana said quietly. We just grew apart. We didn't grow apart, Dana. You chose someone else. There's a difference. Kelly put her arm around Dana. I think you should go now, Caleb. I'm not going anywhere until we settle this. There's nothing to settle, Dana said. I'll have my lawyer contact yours. Your lawyer? With what money? You don't have a job anymore. Kelly's helping me. I looked at Kelly. Of course she is. She's been waiting years for this, hasn't she? Waiting for you to finally leave the blue-collar husband who wasn't good enough for her precious sister. That's not true, Kelly said, but her face said otherwise. Sure it is. You never liked me, Kelly. You thought Dana could do better. Well, congratulations. She found someone better. An unemployed insurance salesman whose wife left him. Real upgrade there. Get off my property, Kelly said. Gladly. But Dana, this isn't over. We're going to have to deal with the house, the debts, the division of assets. You can't just hide behind your sister forever. I walked back to my truck, but before I got in, I turned around one more time. And Dana, you might want to call Grant. I had a conversation with him this morning. I don't think he's as committed to your future together as his text messages suggested. I drove away, leaving them standing on the porch. In my rearview mirror, I could see Dana pulling out her phone, probably calling Grant to find out what I'd said to him. Good. Let them panic. Let them wonder what I was planning next. Because I was just getting started. Saturday morning brought the kind of gray, drizzling weather that matched my mood perfectly. I was in my garage, pretending to organize tools while actually planning my next move, when Tommy showed up with coffee and donuts. Thought you might need some sustenance, he said, setting the box on my workbench. You look like you haven't eaten in days. Haven't had much appetite lately. Heard about your conversation with Grant yesterday. Word is he's looking for a job in Columbus. Good. The farther away, the better. Tommy leaned against the workbench. Also heard you had words with Dana and her sister. News travels fast in this town. It does, when you're the main character in everyone's favorite soap opera. Tommy studied my face. What's next, boss? You've gotten them both fired, broken up their affair, turned your friends against each other. What's left? I picked up a wrench and turned it over in my hands. Justice. Come on, Caleb, you've had your revenge. Maybe it's time to let it go and move on. Move on to what? My empty house? My broken marriage? My friends who chose sides against me? Move on to whatever comes next. You're a good man, and good men don't stay down forever. I looked at Tommy, this kid who'd worked for me for 3 years and somehow become the voice of reason in my life. What if I don't want to be a good man anymore? What if I want to be the villain they all think I am? Then you'll become someone you don't recognize, and the people who destroyed your life will have won anyway. Before I could respond, my phone rang. The caller ID showed a number I didn't recognize. Hello? Is this Caleb Morris? The voice was male, professional. Yes. This is Detective Ray Martinez with the County Sheriff's Office. I need to speak with you about a complaint that's been filed against you. What kind of complaint? Harassment and stalking. Can you come down to the station this afternoon? Harassment? Who filed a complaint? I'd rather discuss this in person, Mr. Morris. Can you be here at 2 o'clock? I'll be there. After I hung up, Tommy was staring at me. What was that about? Grant or Dana filed a complaint against me. Harassment and stalking. Did you harass or stalk them? I confronted them. There's a difference. Is there? Legally, I mean? I didn't answer because I wasn't sure. I'd been so focused on making them pay for what they'd done that I hadn't considered whether I might be breaking any laws in the process. At 2 o'clock, I sat across from Detective Martinez in a small interview room at the sheriff's office. He was about my age, with the kind of tired eyes that suggested he'd seen too much human stupidity to be surprised by anything. Mr. Morris, I want to start by saying that I understand you're going through a difficult time. Divorce is never easy, especially when there's infidelity involved. Then why am I here? Because Mr. Grant Beck filed a complaint alleging that you've been following him, threatening him, and making his life difficult in retaliation for his relationship with your wife. His relationship with my wife is called adultery, Detective. I understand that. But adultery isn't illegal in Ohio. Harassment is. Martinez opened a folder and pulled out a sheet of paper. According to Mr. Beck's statement, you confronted him at his workplace, waited for him in his apartment parking lot, forced him into your vehicle, and made threatening statements about making his life difficult. I never threatened him. What exactly did you say to him? I thought back to my conversation with Grant. I told him to stay away from my wife, and that if he didn't, he'd find out how creative I could be when it comes to making his life difficult. And you don't consider that a threat? I consider it a statement of fact. Martinez sighed. Mr. Morris, I'm going to be straight with you. Legally, what you said could be construed as a threat. Waiting for someone in their parking lot could be considered stalking. Forcing someone into your vehicle, even just by intimidation, could be considered kidnapping. Kidnapping? Are you serious? Absolutely serious. Mr. Beck says he only got in your truck because he was afraid of what you might do if he refused. I stared at the detective. This is ridiculous. The man destroyed my marriage, and I'm the one being treated like a criminal? Mr. Morris, I get it. Really, I do. I've been married for 22 years, and if someone did to my marriage what was done to yours, I'd want to tear them apart too. but I'd also want to do it without ending up in jail. So, what happens now? Now, I'm going to give you some free advice. Stay away from Grant Beck. Don't contact him. Don't go to his apartment. Don't show up at his workplace. If you see him in public, walk the other way. And if I don't, then next time we have this conversation, you'll be under arrest. Martinez leaned forward. Look, I've read the complaint, but I've also done some checking. I know about the affair, about both of you losing your jobs, about the divorces. Mr. Beck isn't exactly an innocent victim here, but that doesn't give you the right to harass him. What about my rights? What about justice? Justice is what happens in divorce court, Mr. Morris. What you're doing is revenge, and revenge has a way of destroying the person seeking it just as much as the target. I left the sheriff's office feeling frustrated and angry. Grant had managed to turn himself into the victim, and I was the one being warned about my behavior. The unfairness of it burned in my chest like acid. But as I drove home, I realized something. Grant filing that complaint had just given me an idea for the perfect finale to this whole mess. That evening, I made a series of phone calls. The first was to Jennifer Beck. Jennifer, it's Caleb. I need a favor. What kind of favor? I want to throw a party, a divorce party, for both of us. I don't understand. A celebration of our freedom from our cheating spouses. Invite everyone we know. Make it a big event. Show the world that we're moving on with our lives. Caleb, what are you really planning? I'm planning to give this town something to talk about. Are you in? There was a long pause. What do you need me to do? Help me plan the party of the century, and make sure Grant and Dana hear about it. My second call was to the local newspaper. The weekly paper always ran a social events section, and I wanted to make sure our divorce party got proper coverage. Hi, this is Caleb Morris. I'd like to place an announcement in your social events section. What kind of announcement? A divorce celebration party. My wife and I are getting divorced after she had an affair with a coworker, and we want to celebrate our freedom. The woman on the phone was quiet for a moment. That's unusual. It's 2023. Divorce parties are becoming more common. It's about celebrating new beginnings instead of mourning endings. I suppose we could run something like that. When is the event? Next Saturday night, 7 o'clock at the VFW Hall. Everyone's invited. My third call was to the VFW Hall to book the space. My fourth was to a catering company. My fifth was to a DJ. By Sunday morning, I had everything arranged. The party was set for the following Saturday. I'd invited everyone in our social circle, everyone from our workplaces, everyone in the neighborhood. I'd even sent an invitation to Dana and Grant, though I doubted they'd show up. The beauty of the plan was its simplicity. I wasn't threatening anyone or harassing anyone. I was just throwing a party to celebrate my divorce. If people wanted to come and hear my side of the story, that was their choice. Tommy stopped by Sunday afternoon to help me clean out Dana's things from the house. We boxed up her clothes, her books, her personal items, and loaded everything into my truck. You sure about this party idea? He asked as we carried the last box outside. It's perfect, public, legal, and guaranteed to get everyone's attention. What if Dana and Grant show up? Then they show up. It's a public event. They have as much right to be there as anyone else. And if they don't, then everyone will notice their absence and draw their own conclusions. Tommy shook his head. You're playing with fire, boss. I've been playing with fire since the day I found those text messages. Might as well make it count. That evening, I drove to Kelly's house to deliver Dana's belongings. She came out to meet me in the driveway, looking nervous. You didn't have to bring these yourself, she said. Yes, I did. I wanted to give you something else, too. I handed her an invitation to the divorce party. What is this? An invitation. You should come. Bring Dana. It'll be fun. Dana appeared in the doorway behind her sister. What's going on? Caleb's throwing a divorce party, Kelly said, showing her the invitation. Dana read it, her face going pale. You can't be serious. Absolutely serious. It's going to be the social event of the season. Everyone's invited, even you and Grant. This is sick, Caleb. This is closure, Dana. This is me moving on with my life and celebrating my freedom from a marriage that was built on lies. You're trying to humiliate me. I'm trying to heal. If that humiliates you, maybe you should think about why. I got back in my truck and rolled down the window. Hope to see you there, Dana. It wouldn't be the same without you. As I drove away, I could see her in my rearview mirror, standing in the driveway with the invitation in her hands, probably calling Grant to tell him about my latest move. Perfect. Let them panic. Let them wonder what I was planning to say at the party. Let them spend the next week agonizing over whether to show up or stay away. Either choice would give me exactly what I wanted. The perfect ending to this story. Saturday evening arrived with clear skies and a cool breeze that felt like a gift from the weather gods. I stood in the parking lot of the VFW hall, watching cars arrive and people stream toward the entrance. The turnout was better than I'd hoped. It seemed like half the town had decided they didn't want to miss whatever was about to happen. Jennifer Beck arrived at 7 sharp, looking nervous but determined. She'd helped me plan the event, and I could tell she was having second thoughts now that it was actually happening. You sure about this, Caleb? Too late to back out now, I said, straightening my tie. I'd dressed up for the occasion, my best suit, the one I'd worn to my wedding 18 years ago. The irony wasn't lost on me. What if they don't show up? Then we have a great party and move on with our lives. What if they do show up? Then we have an even better party. Inside, the VFW hall was decorated with balloons and streamers in bright colors. Nothing funeral-like about this event. The DJ was playing upbeat music, and the caterers had laid out a spread that would have made any wedding reception jealous. I'd spared no expense, using money from the joint account that Dana hadn't thought to freeze before I did. People mingled and talked, and I could feel their eyes on me as I worked the room. Some looked sympathetic, others curious, a few seemed almost excited, like they were waiting for a show. I didn't disappoint them. At 7:30, I asked the DJ to cut the music and handed me the microphone. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for coming to celebrate my freedom from a marriage that faded of betrayal and lies. The room went quiet. This was what they'd come for. Most of you know the story by now. My wife Dana had an affair with her coworker Grant Beck. What you might not know is how that affair was planned, coordinated, and covered up by people I considered friends. I pulled out my phone and connected it to the hall's sound system. I thought you might like to hear some of the actual messages between Dana and Grant, just so we're all clear on what really happened here. The first message played through the speakers, Grant's voice saying, "I can't wait to have you in our bed while your boring husband is fixing air conditioners." Gasps rippled through the crowd. I played several more messages, each one more damaging than the last. Dana's voice describing what she wanted to do with Grant. Grant's voice talking about their future together. Both of them mocking me, my work, my efforts to save our marriage. These messages were sent over a period of 6 months, I said when the recordings ended. 6 months of planning, lying, and betrayal. 6 months of my wife and her boyfriend laughing at me while I worked to support the lifestyle that made their affair possible. The crowd was silent now. I could see some people looking uncomfortable, others angry on my behalf. But tonight isn't about dwelling on the past. Tonight is about celebrating the future, about the freedom that comes from knowing exactly where you stand with people, about the relief of not having to pretend anymore. That's when the door opened and Dana walked in. She was alone. No Grant, no Kelly, no support system. Just Dana in a black dress, looking like she was attending her own funeral, which, in a way, she was. The crowd turned to stare at her, and I could hear whispers starting. She walked slowly toward the front of the room, her chin up, trying to maintain some dignity in an impossible situation. "Hello, Dana," I said into the microphone. "I'm so glad you could make it." "We need to talk," she said, her voice carrying in the silent room. "We're talking now, in front of everyone. No more secrets, no more lies, no more covering up. Just the truth. Please, Caleb, can we do this privately? Privately? Like you and Grant did things privately? Like you and your friends planned things privately? No, Dana. We're done with private. Everything's public now. She looked around the room at all the faces staring at her. You're humiliating me. You humiliated yourself. I'm just making sure everyone gets to see it. What do you want from me? What will it take for you to stop this? I looked at her for a long moment. This woman I'd loved for 18 years, who'd thrown away everything we'd built together for a few months of excitement with a man who'd abandoned her the moment things got difficult. I want you to tell everyone here why you did it. What? Tell them why you cheated. Tell them why you lied. Tell them why you destroyed our marriage. I'm not going to do that. Then I'll tell them. I turned back to the crowd. Dana cheated because she was bored. Because 18 years of marriage to a man who worked hard and loved her wasn't exciting enough. Because she wanted to feel special, wanted, desired by someone new. That's not true, Dana said. Isn't it? Then tell them what is true. Tell them your side of the story. Dana looked around the room again, then back at me. I made a mistake, Caleb. A terrible mistake. But you've made it so much worse than it had to be. I've made it honest. For the first time in months, everything is honest. You've destroyed my life. You destroyed our life. I just made sure everyone could see the wreckage. Dana turned and walked toward the door, but I wasn't done yet. Dana! I called after her. She stopped, but didn't turn around. Where's Grant tonight? Where's the man you threw away 18 years of marriage for? She didn't answer, but her shoulders shook slightly. He left town, didn't he? Got a job in Columbus and decided his future wasn't with you after all. Funny how that works. When the excitement wears off and the consequences set in, suddenly the great love affair doesn't seem so great anymore. Dana walked out without another word. The door closed behind her with a final sound that seemed to echo through the silent room. I handed the microphone back to the DJ. Let's get this party started. The music resumed, and slowly, people began to talk again. Some came up to shake my hand, to tell me I'd done the right thing. Others kept their distance, probably thinking I'd gone too far. Jennifer Beck appeared at my elbow. Jesus, Caleb, that was brutal. It was necessary. Was it? She looked destroyed. She destroyed herself. I just provided the lighting. The party went on for another 3 hours. People danced, drank, ate, and talked. Some left early, uncomfortable with what they'd witnessed. Others stayed until the end, treating it like any other celebration. As the evening wound down and the last guests filtered out, I stood in the empty hall looking at the remnants of my divorce party. Balloons deflating, empty plates, abandoned decorations, the detritus of an ending. Tommy helped me clean up, working in companionable silence until everything was packed away. So, what now, boss? He asked as we loaded the last box into my truck. Now I go home to my empty house and figure out what comes next. Any regrets? I thought about it. About the affair, about the lies, about 18 years of marriage ending in betrayal. Yeah, I have regrets about all of that. I meant about tonight, about everything you've done since you found those messages. I looked back at the VFW hall, dark now except for the parking lot lights. No regrets about any of it. They made their choices and I made mine. Everyone got to see exactly who everyone else really is. And you? Who are you now? I'm the villain in their story and the hero in mine. I'm the man who refused to go quietly when his life was destroyed. I'm the man who made sure there were consequences. Is that enough? It has to be. We drove home in silence through the quiet streets of our small town. Past the houses where my former friends lived with their wives who'd helped my wife cheat. Past the office building where Dana and Grant used to work before their affair cost them their jobs. past the apartment complex where Grant used to live before his wife left him and he fled to Columbus. All of it looked the same as it had 6 months ago, but everything was different now. The secrets were out, the lies exposed, the consequences distributed fairly among everyone who'd participated in the destruction of my marriage. I parked in my driveway and sat for a moment, looking at my house. My house now, not ours. Dana would sign the papers, take her settlement, and disappear from my life forever. Grant was already gone, his brief starring role in this drama over. The story was finished. The villain had won, the heroes had been revealed as frauds, and justice had been served with a side of public humiliation. I got out of my truck, walked to my front door, and let myself into my empty house. Tomorrow I would start figuring out what came next. Tonight, I was content to sit in my chair, drink a beer, and savor the silence of a life no longer built on lies. Outside, the wind picked up, rattling the windows and carrying away the last echoes of the evening's revelations. In a small town where everyone knows everyone else's business, my business was finally completely and irrevocably finished.